swim and bike and run day. And it's breakfast with Bob.
And Poncho Man, everybody. Thanks so much for being here. Again, day 3, Breakfast with Bob, our Kona World Championship edition from beautiful Huggos on the Rocks. My name is Bob Babbitt, brought to you by HOKA Fly Human Fly, Master Spas, Precision Fuel and Hydration, Crush Your Race Nutrition, Deboer, Outrigger Kona Resort and Spa, Stay Longer, Save More, and of course, our Challenge Athletes Foundation, our next guest, the newest inductee into the Ironman Hall of Fame, Cherie Gruenfeld joins us. How you doing, Cherie?
I'm doing great, Bob. Thanks.
So, growing up, were you an athlete?
No, I was not an athlete, but not by choice. I grew up before Title IX.
So there really weren't options. There
was
weren't
nothing.
opportunity.
I did have a couple of brothers and parents that didn't coddle me at all. And when I said I wanted to do something, they said, just go out there and play with the boys.
Right.
And I did. And I think that gave me some of the confidence that I had later on in life when I got into sports.
So nothing in high school, nothing in college. They really didn't have anything for women back then.
Nothing.
So then where were you living at that time?
Up in Washington, Port Angeles, Washington.
Okay. And when did you find, was it first running before triathlon, or was it triathlon right from the beginning?
No, it was running first, but only because I didn't run, but I saw the first LA Marathon on TV.
Ah.
So I started from 0 to marathon. I had never run a 5K or a 10K before I ran a marathon. So that's how that got started,
So-
and triathlon came after.
So you were exceeding your own expectations.
I was.
I love that.
Didn't know it, but I was.
Exactly. So okay, so then you're doing running, and so did you run that first, the second LA Marathon?
No. I did eventually.
Right.
That was my goal, but I got ready faster than I thought I would.
Oh.
And so I did the Run Through the Redwood Forest marathon.
I love that.
And figured that, I could do it, so I would do LA the
Right.
next year.
Yeah.
Because that was the original plan. But I qualified for Boston in my first one.
In your
So,
first ever marathon.
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden, when you qualify for Boston, you're not just some recreational athlete. Now you're sort of the real deal, and you go and run Boston. And what was that experience like?
It was, first of all, I didn't know that I had qualified for Boston when I did my first one.
Yeah.
I was in a hotel room someplace several weeks ago, saw an article that talked about the qualifying times, and I just looked at it for fun and thought, holy cow, I'd qualified. So I went into it still as such a novice.
And what age are we talking when you
We're
first?
talking 42.
42 years old.
42.
Okay, so at 42, all of a sudden, 40 years of not being an athlete, now you're an athlete.
Yeah.
And a successful athlete.
Well, I guess you could say that.
Well, you qualify for Boston, you're a successful
yeah,
athlete.
okay. And that race day in Boston was cold and windy and poured down rain, and people were complaining and bitching and moaning.
Right.
I was
You
having
loved
the
it all.
best time in the world.
Yeah.
And at the conclusion of that race, I kind of decided to call myself a runner and
Yes.
kept doing it.
What type of time?
What kind?
Type of time did you run?
Oh, my first one was 3:26, I think.
Oh my God. Okay.
And then
yeah.
Boston was like 5 minutes faster than that.
Wow.
So
And so then did you keep going back to Boston each year?
No, I didn't.
Really?
Well, I only did the marathons until I was 48.
Okay.
And then I got into this.
And what got you into that, into triathlon?
Your magazine.
Competitor Magazine.
Competitor Magazine. I picked it up. I read it. I thought I was 48, and I wasn't a triathlete, and I just thought this was unbelievable what these people were doing.
Right.
But I never had any thought that I would do it myself. So I put the magazine down, went out running, and Lee, my husband, read the magazine and came to me and said, you should try this. You'd be good at it. And it took him several months to convince me.
Yeah.
And once he did, I was all in.
You're all in. What was your first triathlon?
Well, basically here, I did have to qualify, and I did Wildflower as my very first.
And Wildflower was a qualifier for this.
Not then.
No, not then.
Not
Okay.
on that year. And then I did. I decided I would go to Canada first because I found out you have to qualify, and I
Right.
figured I couldn't. So I was training for Canada, and I did Mike and Rob's most excellent triathlon,
Half
half
Ironman, yeah.
just weeks before Canada, and I didn't even know it was a qualifying race.
It was a qualifier.
And I didn't place first, but Angelica and Barbara, the twins,
The twin sisters, yes.
they already had slots. So it went to me, and I said, you bet. And so I didn't do Canada. I came to Kona.
You came to Kona for your first time, what year?
Yeah, in 92.
So in 92 you came for the first time, and was it one of those things where you realized right away, I love this place?
Well, I'll tell you what I said when I crossed the finish line.
Never again.
Not quite. I ran right into Lee's arms. He was standing right there. And I said, I love this stuff, and I know how I can do it better the next time. So I was obviously hooked.
How fast did you go the first time?
12, 27, 26, something like that. Yeah.
That is amazing. And so when I look at your, we're talking 28 Ironmans? Is that
Yes.
correct? 28
Yeah.
Ironmans, 18 first place finishes, 14 here in Kona, first place finishes, 7 world records. So, I mean, what you accomplished as an athlete obviously is part of the story for becoming an Ironman Hall of Famer. But when I saw you in New Zealand last year at 80, winning the World Championships there, and really changing perceptions about what somebody could do as an age, and at 78 you finished here, and you're the oldest female finisher of this race. As somebody who didn't have sport until she was in her early 40s, to become a trailblazer, really, is what you've become. When you look back at it all, how do you sum all of that up? The fact that you've become a world-class age group athlete.
Well, that's a really good question. I've never been asked that before. I think that nobody does this kind of thing without a whole lot of help
Right.
from a whole lot of people. And, I never thought about the age. When I started at 42 or 48, I didn't even think about the fact that was a little bit older.
Right.
And as I got older, I began to realize it was pretty old. But there's, your body will change, and you'll lose some of your physical
Right.
capability.
Yeah.
But this sport is about mental capability, and you don't have to lose that. There's
No.
no reason to
No.
have to lose that. So I just figured there's no real ceiling. You just do it until you can't,
Right.
or you don't feel it's worth it any longer.
Exactly.
But there is an 80-year-old woman.
Yes,
who
racing.
Natalie Grabau, that is racing this year, and I hope she does it. I
Of
hope
course.
she makes it. That
What
would be great.
changes everything, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
I remember when Bill Bell, our buddy Bill
Oh,
Bell,
yeah.
when he turned, it used to be age groups were like 50 to 54, 55, 59, 60 plus, right?
Yes.
That's what 60 plus. There was so when Bill got to like 67, 68, he's calling me up and going, I can't compete with the 60-year-olds. So then USAT, I called USAT, and they added 65, 69, 70, 74. And then, of course, when Bill turned 75, 76, it was like, we better add 70, 74, 75 to 79, 80, 84. Now I think they have 90, 94, 95, 99. So we've lived through this era where people are staying fitter longer. How do you draw on what you do as a triathlete in your everyday life?
Well, I guess the things that you need to do to be a successful Ironman or a triathlete is to set a goal and
Right.
stay calm, and develop a plan and follow the plan. When you run into problems, solve them and get moving.
Right.
That's the same thing you do in life.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
So it all just blends in together, which is the kind of one of the reasons I keep the kids I work with doing athletics.
Yep.
Because if they can learn to do that, they'll learn the same skills in life.
So let's talk exceeding expectations. Obviously, you lived it, and up in the San Bernardino area, we have a lot of young people who don't have a lot of hope, who aren't really sure what their life is going to be, but they're looking at what their parents are doing and their families are doing, and not a lot of them are going on to college. Not a lot of them are starting their own businesses. How did you get connected with that world and realize that these kids needed some help and support?
It was just coincidental. I was invited to speak at a school in San Bernardino, and I spoke to a group of 5th and 6th grade kids, And I talked to them about setting goals, working hard on those goals, and how good it felt to accomplish a goal that you'd worked hard on. And I showed them a little video of me racing here on a year when I was trying to set a new course record.
Right.
And that developed into my selecting 12 kids, and I started working with them. But where I really, the first time that it really hit me what these kids were up against was when I went in the first time. We selected 12 kids, and then I went into their what we would call homes. It's where they were living,
right,
far from homes. And I went inside. I didn't just stand outside and look in. I went inside and looked out. And the only word I've ever been able to use for that is hopelessness. There was just nothing that was going to pull these kids out of that environment. So I knew that if there was anything we could do, I was up for doing it.
And we sometimes underestimate the power of sport, how it changes lives for the better in so many different ways. Being able to bring sport, and so did it start out with the kids just, hey, here's these 12 kids, we're going to train just to run around the block, or was it, hey, here's a goal, we're going to do a 5K? What did you set up as that first goal?
Well, I guess I never start small.
Of course not.
So I said we're going to do triathlons.
Oh, so it started with triathlon.
With triathlons, okay. Little ones, the reverse
right.
triathlons.
We're talking out in the triathlons out in Pasadena out at in Hemet and Tinsel.
And so I went out to my triathlete friends and borrowed some bikes. I didn't know that this was going to go on and on, so I borrowed some bikes. And the first triathlon we did was in Redlands.
Yes.
And I believe that you were one of the people that I got to swim for the kids.
Yeah.
I trained them to bike, and then I got runners and swimmers. And I believe you jumped in the pool.
Yeah, we did.
And
We did swim with the kids. Yes.
Yeah, and in the beginning, these kids did not swim.
Not at all. No, they'd never been exposed to water.
Many of them, they live 60 miles from the ocean. Many of them had never seen the ocean. And so I needed to get swimmers or someone. Later, I got into the pool myself and would carry them on my back instead of getting swimmers. But anyway, after the first one where they just biked, then the next one, I said, you got to bike and run. And the next one, you got to bike and swim. I'll carry you on my back, in my arms, whatever, but you got to get through the water to get to the finish line.
Right.
And all this time, these kids are learning because every time I said, now, what's your goal for today? And it was like to ride a little faster than I did the last time. So they're learning to set goals. They're meeting successful people.
Right.
And getting out of their own environment. And it really, really helps.
And you mentioned it takes a village. So you've got race directors, because these kids can't afford these entries.
Oh, no.
And you certainly can't buy a dozen entries for all these kids. So race directors are either comping or giving discounts. You're getting local folks to wetsuits, bikes, running shoes, all that type of equipment. I'm imagining the triathlon community was very helpful there.
Absolutely. It was amazing. I have learned that the whole triathlon community, not just local to me, but everywhere, is so generous, just unbelievably generous. And race directors, in the very beginning, we had no money to start this.
None.
Nothing.
Yeah.
So I just went to the race director and said, can we come?
Right.
And they let us do that for a while until we became a real thing and got some money that we could do it ourselves. But it's worth everything that we've done.
25 years.
25 years.
It's been 25 years, and the number of kids who have gone on to college. Because, again, sport just makes you feel good about yourself, makes you feel comfortable in your own skin. And you've had kids go on to college, and I think it was, how many kids have you had go on to basically, create success in their life?
Well, we've had, it's a very difficult thing to,
right.
Yeah.
Yep.
But let me just tell you kind of, when this thing started, it was just to use athletics to help them out.
Mm-hmm.
But one day in the car, I was taking them home from some race, and I had an experience with them that changed this program into what it is today, which is get an education.
Right.
I was talking to him about graduating from high school and going to college. And a little kid, Nicholas, sitting right next to me in the car, in the front seat, turned to me and he said, Sheree, why are you talking to us about this? That's for other kids. It's not for us.
Wow.
And I learned very quickly that of these 12 kids, not a one of them had anyone in their family who had ever graduated from high school. And that's when I understood that what we were doing with the sports was really good, but we needed to do more.
Sports was the beginning of the conversation.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And we need to get these kids educated so that they can have opportunities in their life to improve their lives.
So I think we got 30 kids in college, graduated or going to college. 8 have entered the military. 6 are still serving. 3 started businesses, and 4 are mentoring other
Yeah.
kids from your program, exceeding expectation kids.
You know, when I first started this, here comes this lady walking into this environment saying, "We're going to help you. We're going to send you to college," and the families didn't believe that. The kids didn't believe it. It took us a while before they saw that.
That they weren't getting rid of you.
Yeah.
That you're going to come back.
That's
Where
right.
most of the people in their life probably hadn't.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And so when we then got kids to the point where they did graduate and they went on to college, it's pretty powerful stuff when they come back and talk to the kids and say, "Listen, I was just like you.
Wow.
This is where I was sitting when she came to talk to us, and look at me now. I've got a degree from UCSD and I've got a great job." That's powerful stuff.
I love that. I remember that young man, Archie,
Yeah.
who was running, I think he was running the UCLA Triathlon Club.
He was,
And
yeah.
he came from your program.
Yes, he did.
He came from your program, going to UCLA, running the triathlon program because he'd been exposed to triathlon. And he came back to work with the kids as well.
Yep, yep.
I love that. That is really,
Doesn't
really
get much
cool.
better than that,
It doesn't
does
get
it?
much better than that, right? So when, what moving forward, what are the goals for the program?
You know, I don't know that they're any different than they are today
Okay.
because we got new kids coming up
Always
in
new
the
kids.
same problems and
Yes.
situation. So they'll just be different names.
So how about with the parents? It seems like when the parents are exposed to their kids having success, that would change them as well.
You know, it's a really good point. When we first started, there was not a parent in sight. I used to have to, some mornings, go in to their homes, they never locked doors, and pull the kids out of bed to take them with me to go to a race. So no parents at all. And now we have, on any given race or training or whatever, there's probably 15 or so parents, and they race with us.
Right.
They race with us. And they are so supportive of the kids. All our kids now and their parents know, even the little 7, 8-year-olds, I'm going to college.
So that's the mantra now.
Yeah,
I'm going to
to
college,
college.
rather than I don't even know if I'll get through high school.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
That is what you're doing is pretty darn unbelievable. And what I love is every year, going back to our competitor awards, there was a carrot at the end of the year. The kids who stuck with it, you guys would bring them down the SeaWorld to our endurance awards, and they'd stay in a hotel and come there. And then who's being showcased there? It's Paul Newby Frazier. It's Dave Scott. It's some of the most successful athletes and huge sponsors and donors. So they're exposed to the good things. They're exposed to positive role models.
That's exactly right. It's a world that they'd never seen before, and they see what this world is, and they understand now that that can be them. They can fit into this world with an education.
Yeah, and when the kids, and now the kids come down to our CEF San Diego Triathlon Challenge. I think you got 10 kids coming who will be running on October 26th.
Right.
And for that weekend, obviously they're dealing with their own challenges. But now they're seeing amputees, they're seeing kids in wheelchairs, they're seeing those same kids with big smiles on their faces who have major, major challenges as well. How does that connect to dots?
You know, when I first started taking the kids down there, I said to them, you guys have challenges. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But you can fix your challenges. And what you're going to see down there is people that they have, legs are gone, arms gone. They can't fix that. But they find a way to fix it.
Yes.
In their life. And they go on. And to watch, and then every time we see them going into the water, being carried in, this kind of thing, I make sure the kids are right there watching it. And, it does not
It's powerful.
go... Yeah.
It is
the
powerful.
kids understand that.
Well, we love having the kids there. It's really...
Well, you're one of the people in several different ways that have helped this thing dramatically.
We love it.
And
Well, we always
appreciate
say this is a small sport with a huge heart.
That's very true.
Love it.
Very true.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Bob.
Poncho Man, take us out, my friend.
Wednesday. Gonna swim, bike, and run day. And it's breakfast with Bob.
And Poncho Man.